Hey guys, I wanted to touch base with everybody and just talk about 3D Blu-rays for a little while again. It's been a while since I did a 3D Blu-ray video, but I'm excited because I just got to see, like a couple days ago, a couple nights ago, Deadpool and Wolverine 3D. I got the Movie Next version from Japan. I did not get in on the first round of pre-orders because it was sold out pretty fast, but we went to Yes Asia and was able to get a pre-order in when they opened up pre-orders for a second time. And let me talk about it, I guess, for a few minutes. So there are a lot of the Japanese releases that I have missed over the last couple years. I mean, I got a few of them, but I did not want to miss Deadpool and Wolverine. And I heard it was a really good 3D conversion, but even if they said it was mediocre, there's just despite me not really buying a lot of 3D movies anymore, just because there's very few available in North America being released, other than by maybe Vinegar Syndrome and the 3D Film Archive stuff that they're working with. I think they got like 3 distributors that take on some of their restorations, and I believe they also do some for the actual studios, or they have like Revenge of the Creature from the Black Lagoon and stuff like that. But these Movie Next releases, they usually have a 4K and a 3D version, and this one has a Blu-ray as well. And unfortunately, the Atmos soundtrack was not on the Blu-ray disc, and this is problems we've seen with like a lot of the North American 3D releases over the years. Very few would have that Atmos soundtrack on them when either the Blu-ray would have, the 2D Blu-ray would have the soundtrack, or at least the 4K version would have that if they had an Atmos or DTSX soundtrack available. I'm pretty sure that this says that there is an Atmos version or Atmos audio on the 4K version, but just like a lot of the North American releases we got back in the day, very few had those Atmos soundtracks, and they would go to the regular 2D Blu-ray or maybe the 4K version. And I always thought it was to try to sell another version because they thought 3D was dying, and I guess this round of 3D over the last 5 or 7 years probably has been dying. But I'm glad that some studios are supporting it still. Hopefully when the next rendition of 3D comes out, 4K, 8K, whatever, new HDMI standards, they'll be backwards compatible with these. That's my hope. But with physical media also potentially being a thing of the past, and maybe 10 or 15 years down the road, it's hard to tell. It might just be streaming only, but hopefully we get some sort of 3D option in the future. So I pulled out my Optima 3D projector after not using it for probably a long time, probably many months, and when I started the movie, I was seeing these red lines going up and down my screen, my projection screen, and I reset the projector, I reset the HDMI, and I finally read up on it, and it says the color wheel might need cleaned or whatever, it could have dust on it or something, or it could need replaced. And it looked like it's a pretty big job just to take the projector apart to clean that color wheel, and possibly things that could go wrong, I guess. So after a while, I just popped it. I just slapped the projector a few times, and I guess it loosened up whatever the dust or whatever on the color wheel, and it just started working just fine. Now my 6-year-old son begged me for like 30-45 minutes, let me watch Deadpool, please let me watch it. I said, your mama would kill me if I let you watch Deadpool. And me and her sometimes have arguments about, I personally think he's old enough to watch Beetlejuice and maybe Gremlins, even though there's some jump scares and stuff on Gremlins and a little bit of scary stuff. She won't even agree to let them watch that. But with Deadpool, and I've seen the first two already, I knew kind of what it was about, and I mean, I think there's sex scenes and stuff in one of the Deadpools, if not two, but it's less about the physical stuff on this movie, the third one, and it's more about not just throwing like F-bombs out there, but it's the things that he and the characters say on this movie that makes it just like XXX rated for language. So I think I made a good decision by not letting him watch that, and I would be in agreement with his mom to not let him watch it. Maybe there will be a TV edited version that'll come out later that he can watch, but I don't see how they can have a 2-hour runtime if that happens. It'll probably be like an hour. So how good is the 3D conversion on this? The opening scene, and this is what a lot of people complain about, the opening scene on Deadpool and Wolverine 3D, they put the most effort into converting and special effects and all in that, first, whatever, I don't know if it's 5-10 minutes, and it kind of makes you think it's going to be like Final Destination 3D, kind of like that. That's what it reminded me of, but probably a lot better than Final Destination's 3D. And for the last month or two, I've been hearing my kids play that NSYNC song, Bye Bye Bye, Justin Timberlake and Lance Bass and all those boy band song. And I wasn't ever watching, whatever they were watching. They have parental controls on their TV, so they don't get too bad of content. But I guess they were watching some Deadpool promotions or something with that song playing all the time. And yeah, that's the intro song. That's the intro song, and that is why they've been listening to that song like crazy. I can only imagine this just people probably are discovering NSYNC for the first time based on this. But again, people are saying, they put so much effort into the intro. Why didn't they have something like that, throughout the film, and maybe some major epic ending? And I kind of think that they did have a major epic ending. Maybe they didn't have the amount of slow motion and 3D and things just shooting out, into the screen, and that almost end sequence there, the end action sequence, I should say. But at no time during the entire film did I feel like there was any lack of depth or anything like that in the film. It looked like it was every scene was converted really well. In fact, several years ago when Mad Max Fury Road 3D came out, it being also a conversion, I watched it in awe. I was like, I got sort of that same feeling and that same experience of watching how could a converted 3D film look this, three-dimensional, and another one after that would be Guardians of the Galaxy 2, had a pretty amazing 3D conversion. I remember back in the day, like Gulliver's Travel 3D almost being headache-inducing with lack of depth, and Captain America, which had, these corridor effects which were cool. You could see them, different studios, different experiences, and maybe a different amount of time that the studios would invest on having their conversions done. And things have gotten really a lot better over time. That there's no guarantee that somebody's going to put out a movie and it's going to have great, 3D when it's converted. And there's even no guarantee, like The Amazing Spider-Man, that was shot in true 3D and it has almost no depth in it. But I would say that Deadpool and Wolverine, everything was well choreographed. It seemed like everything was planned out really well so that it would have a 3D release. I don't know how well Ryan Reynolds, planned that, or the studios, but it's like a 10 out of a 10 to me. Now I have a backlog of probably 8, 10, maybe 15 3D Blu-rays that I haven't watched, including like Buona Devil and, Jurassic World Dominion, which Jurassic World Dominion has bad reviews as far as the conversion goes. Probably in the movie itself too. Buona Devil is, I believe, supposed to have a really good 3D, but not a great story. But as far as some newer movies, like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, now this is another Japan-only movie next release. And the only reason I didn't watch this long ago was because I'd already watched the 2D version, so it was just put, in storage somewhere. Now this one actually did get a North American release, Avatar: Way of the Water. So this is the sequel to Avatar, and I'm surprised I haven't made an effort to watch it, but hopefully soon. And lastly, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm so surprised that I have not watched this yet, especially being so impressed with Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I hope the conversion is done really well. Again, a movie next Japanese release. Now moving on, I probably talked about this in one of my last 3D Blu-ray videos, is Magnificent Bodyguards 3D, one of the Jackie Chan, 3D films, and it was supposed to be released maybe months ago, or at least Amazon has changed release dates over and over again, but 88 Films, which is the one releasing it, I guess hasn't put out, let me see here, so release date to be whatever, release date subject to change, and they have the price at, basically $1,000 there. So yeah, I guess it's coming. I look forward to it. I know 3D Film Archive, they made it a point to mention that they didn't have any involvement in the restoration. And I'm not even sure if they're doing a restoration at all, or if they're just scanning the film, or if they're aligning it afterwards to make sure it's properly aligned, or if they're doing a wet scan, which sort of cleans up, pre-cleans the film when they scan it. But I guess I could read more about it later. I just hope that it is coming out. It's been planned for probably quite a while now, and it's going to be exciting if and when it does come out. So apparently this is directed by Wilo, the person who gave the world the Bruce Lee classics, The Big Boss and Fist of Fury. So it's going to have the Anaglyph, the true 3D and 2D versions on a 2-disc set. It's going to include one pair of Anaglyph 3D glasses. It's going to be in Mandarin Mono 2.0, Cantonese Mono 2.0, 2.0 English Mono, and 2.0 English Mono with alternate music cues, audio commentary, a Mandarin trailer, and reversible sleeves with new art and original posters. And this is strange. It says region code A and B, and it doesn't have C listed. Does that mean it's going to be just 2 regions, or is it going to be region free? And it says English subtitles. So I mean, usually when I watch a foreign film, I would like to watch it in its original language, and subtitles. That's going to hopefully be the perfect option for people that want to do that. Now, I can tell you there was a Korean and Japanese, or Korean and Chinese film. I can't. Mr. Go. The subtitles was so fast on it. It was hard to read and watch the 3D at the same time to see what was actually going on screen. So I don't know how this one's going to be, but I know in Mr. Go it probably would be a good option to watch it twice. One to see the dialogue and one to actually watch the movie, so you kind of know what's going on while you're watching. That's not something you have to worry about with this release. But if so, you got an English soundtrack. So since I did the last 3D talk, Turbine has released 3 more films, and the previous 3 or whatever films they did in 3D, they actually gave them all an Dolby Atmos soundtrack. So if you got your copies of these same movies on Random Space Media, you most likely did not get an Atmos track. I don't know if any of them had an Atmos soundtrack. I'd have to go back and look, but I know most of them didn't, and now you have the Atmos soundtrack with them. But check this out. They also just released Bumblebee and Transformers Rise of the Beast, as well as Sing 2. So their previous releases was Jurassic World, Dominion, Minions, and Gangster Gang. That's not the English version. It's The Bad Guys, I believe, is what it's called in English. So I think Turbine has released 9 3D films so far. We got Mission Impossible Fallout, which is fairly new, and Migration 3D, which has pretty good reviews on the 3D. I'm not sure if I'm interested in that one or not. Definitely interested in them two, and possibly Mission Impossible Fallout. I already have, I think, all of the Random Space Media releases, and I'm probably not going to buy them again just to get the Atmos soundtrack. As far as other films I would mind getting right now, it'd be like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That's like the #1 Japanese movie next movie that I would like. I kind of wanted Black Widow for a while just because I like the character, but I don't know if the conversion was like super great. There's like Thor: Love and Thunder. There was like the Black Panther 2, which I'm not really interested in. Eternals, I've seen it in 2D. I'm not sure how I would like it in 3D, or if I'd even want to watch it, because I didn't really like the film. The Marvels, that's up in the air, but the biggest issue, I guess, with these Japanese movie next releases is they can be anywhere from like $65 to $90 or so. They're super expensive, especially compared to, usually when at the height of 3D in North America, Amazon might show you a pre-order price of, $39 or $35 or something, but usually by the time it came out, you hooked on to the lowest price it was. It could be, $17 or $20 or $25, and usually got it way cheaper than the list price, but or MSRP price. So if you are thinking about getting Deadpool, I just know what you're getting, the type of content, the type of character. Even though it's not a Fox property anymore, Disney basically, I guess, gave Ryan Reynolds like 90% control of this. I mean, I heard a few jokes and stuff were out, but for the most part, this is a raunchy, very language raunchy, very over-the-top violence. It's not for everybody, but if you can get past that, it's a great 3D action flick. And people, I'll just say it because other people said it, without spoiling too much, people sort of have the question of, Well, can Deadpool or Wolverine join the Avengers or the X-Men again in the future? There's a lot opened up about this, especially there's a question mark about, the Avengers, especially. Even though Deadpool was introduced in X-Men, and there's possibly some Fantastic Four, stuff going on there as well. You never know. Just say this though, after watching this, I can't see how, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool could be over. I think this is a really fun movie, and even though the writing and the language and stuff is meant to be raunchy and nasty and all, I think they could still incorporate this into a more kid or teen friendly Avengers film or something. Avengers meets X-Men, multiverse stuff. With the multiverse, you open up all kinds of possibilities, and with the TVA and stuff like that. So, could you imagine like Loki and Deadpool going at it or something? All right, guys, take care.